Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. And I'm here today not to only show you these two beautiful flowers, but also to talk to you about what make orchids. That doesn't make any sense, does it? But why we have all of these different genera placed inside one family that's called Orchidaceae, and why some botanists just place them inside this massive family. Some of the traits, some of the features that make these plants being called orchids. And definitely I have plants here from different genres. I have a Phalaenopsis, a Paphiopedilum here. They are different when we look at them, but they have some common aspects that will make them being classified as orchids. Usually botanists, with all the plants that produce flowers, all the angiosperms inside of the big classification, all of them, we usually look at the flowers, look to some features that these flowers have to classify the plants, to identify species, etc., etc. So let's talk why these beauties here, why they are orchids. Let's talk about some of the features that they have. And that's all. Actually, it's a little bit different. It's not a care tutorial. So I don't know if you are interested about it, but I thought it would be a nice and light topic for this Wednesday. And let's start. So the first thing that we have here is this massive flowered Paphiopedilum. And when we talk about the Orchidaceae family, the first thing that we can notice here is that the flowers are monosymmetrical. What means that they are monosymmetrical? It means that both halves of these flowers will mirror each other. So if I draw a line here, you can see that this side will mirror this side. The same thing with my Phalaenopsis. If I draw a line in here, this side will mirror this side. And I'm going to use my Phalaenopsis for the next example because with the Paphiopedilum it's a little bit more complex and there are some details that I'm not going to get into this time, but we can talk about it in another video about maybe about Paphiopedilum flowers. We just had another idea for another video. What do you think? Can explore that together. But let's talk about this beautiful Phalaenopsis here. I use it as an example to talk about general orchids. So I have here my monosymmetrical flower, and something very important about orchids is that when we look to the structure of the flowers, the flower is the reproductive part of a plant. So in this case here, the flowers will be the reproductive part of the plants. Every orchid, they will have the female and the male part of the flower. They will be stick together and will be inside this column. We have some specification here. I'm gonna place an image here for you to see, and to make it simple, the male and the female part, they are here inside the column, which is really important because that's one of the main features of an orchid flower. So we have both reproductive system inside the one flower. Another thing that's very, very important is that the flower will have 3 sepals and 3 petals. So who are the petals and who are the sepals? So they are not people, so which parts are the petals and which parts represents the sepals here? So when we talk about, we have sepals means outer circle of flower petals, and petals is the inner circle, okay? The sepal, because I was saying that the sepal is the outer part, it's gonna be represented by this petal here, this one, and then the other 3, it's what we've called the petals, is these 2, plus the lip. The lip is a modified petal of an orchid flower. I'm not going to show you the Paphiopedilum because then it's a little bit more complex and a little bit different, but generally speaking, we have 3 sepals and 3 petals. Is that the lip? In this case, we call the pouch. It's a little bit different, but the lip, that's this modified petal. It's great because pollinators can land here. But orchid also has something different in terms of pollination. Because when we talk about flowers, most plants, they will attract pollinators and will offer them some nectar to reward for their visit. Orchid will trick the insects to come and to pollinate them, but then they won't reward the insects with any sorts of nectar, which is a strategy that helped orchids to colonize most environments. How they do that? Some orchids evolved to become very similar to other flowers nearby, so insects would be tricked and would go to the orchid, insect to the plant that would offer the nectar. Other will look like insects in itself. I have an orchid that looks like a bee for me. So, not only they will trick the insect will grab the pollinarium, will stick to the insect, and the insect will be able to fly to another plant and will help this plant to be, let's say, pollinized. Not only they differ from other flowers in the aspect of how they offer nectar or how the insects pollinize them, but also in terms of the seeds. Orchids usually focus on quantity instead of quality. They will produce a ton of seeds, lots of seeds that will be spread around the environment. These seeds, they don't have any protection cap around them. So instead of producing few seeds that have lots of nutrients around the seeds to protect it to last longer, these seeds, they won't have any protection, but you will be producing a great quantity and will be spread in the environment. So the wind will carry it because they are very, very thin, and they will be carried to other places trying to germinate. Some of these seeds, most of them, will need some specific fungi to be able to survive in the natural habitat and to start growing a new plant. Some orchids, they will have a symbiosis process with some of these fungi, and from the moment that the plants start to produce leaves and photosynthesize, we will be able to also feed these fungi. But because of that, it's really, really difficult for us as home growers to produce seeds inside our homes and to use these seeds as to duplicate or propagate these plants. Usually you need very special conditions to do so, so it's not something that we can easily do inside our home space. So that's why if you want to propagate your orchid, you may need to go to a lab. Let me come this closer to the camera. You may need to go to a lab or have a very specific and proper conditions for it. Otherwise, you'll not be able to have a completely new orchid just because you were able to pollinate it inside your home, and we will use all the seeds, but probably nothing will sprout from the seeds that you acquired from your orchid. However, when you think about that, but oh my gosh, how they survived, it's one of the largest family of plants on earth. So the quantity and the way that it combines with other type of beings like fungi to survive and to multiplicate, the wide range of colors, fragrance, shapes these flowers have helped them greatly in the process, in the evolutionary process of these plants. So not only they colonized almost every habitat on this planet, apart from some deserts, and when you go to the Antarctica, you won't find orchids in there, but more than that, you will find it everywhere. We have species of orchids colonizing most places on Earth. So we can consider all of these features that I just said greatly in terms of evolution, because they are still here. There are so many in their natural habitat. We managed to create so many hybrids as well, but there are some endangered species. So I was saying that it was very efficient. It's amazing on their natural habitats, but as human beings, we are super capable of extracting things non-stop and then destroying some species. So never gather these plants from the natural habitat. Leave them be when you visit different countries. and acquire plants from reputable nurseries, places that you know that are creating hybrids or just replicating species from centuries. So don't help don't let these beauties disappear from their natural places. I think it's our duty, knowing and loving them, to help to. I'm not gonna say we're not saving anything. I think we are part of nature as they are as well. But so shouldn't we respect each other's environment? I think that's just a conclusion. I couldn't escape from all of my environmental view on this topic specifically. I hope this video was interesting. I tried to bring some information here for you since we love this plant so much. And I will try to do a specific one about sleeper orchids and maybe structure of sleeper orchids. But yeah, so these are some common features that we find in orchids. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, letting me know your thoughts, and I hope to see you this weekend. Bye bye.